I'm Carol Ann Ford. I played Susan in Doctor Who. And I've been listening to the Five-ish Fangirls podcast, and it's absolutely amazing. So, goodbye everybody, and it's been fun talking to you.
The tangents this week continue all the way to episode 144 of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. And when you play the Game of Thrones, you either win or you die. Welcome everyone to this week's episode of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. So glad you could join us. Let's start off like we do every week by going to the virtual table and see who's joined us this week.
This is Brittany in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania.
This is Chrissy in Salt Lake City.
This is Holly from Wisconsin.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Yay! Brittany remembered where she lives!
I do!
There was a hesitation there for a second. But
she has a nice new place. It's all her own, and that is awesome.
Yes.
A much shorter commute to work.
How nice it is to have my own place again.
Yeah. And not have to drive 5 million miles to get to work.
Yes, exactly. It is so nice. 10 minutes is such a nice...
short number?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
And all my friends who still live, far away from work, they say they hate me.
Yep.
Because I don't have to drive to a anymore.
Well, they can get their own place closer to work.
They are working on that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Does your apartment complex still have openings? You may want to send them your way. Who wants to be Brittany's neighbor?
I'm not
anyway.
For those
I don't imagine that you are.
But it depends on what show I'm watching, and if it's a season finale, then I might get a little loud. But, yeah.
Yep. Or pre-season finales like Doctor Who this week.
Oh,
yeah.
So we'll talk about that when we talk season 10 in a couple weeks.
Yeah. Oh, my Linda.
Yeah.
Yes.
Spoilers. Anyway. Okay. We need to get... Yeah. We were off last week, obviously, so the news has stacked up just a little. It hasn't been too bad, but there's quite a bit of news as, compared to it has been the last few episodes where it's been quiet. So let's start off with convention news with Time Eddie 3 announced two very exciting guests, Carol Ann Ford and William Russell.
Ooh.
So
jealous.
Apparently this is a unique thing, the two of them appearing at a stateside convention at the same time. So if you were thinking of going to Time Eddie, you may want to get on that.
Yep. And just for those who are unaware of who these two fine individuals are, they are two of the very first companions that starred in Doctor Who, and arguably two that Carol Ann Ford played Susan, who's the Doctor's granddaughter, and William Russell played Ian Chesterton, one of the teachers that
Chesterfield.
Yeah, that was the Doctor continually got his name wrong. And one of my favorite moments, and I cannot for the life of me remember what story this is in. I'm sure I'll remember it when afterward we're done recording. Is because William Hartnell was almost notorious. I don't want to say notorious, but that's the word that's coming to my mind, for getting Chesterton's name wrong. I mean,
little flubs here and there.
Little flubs here and there, just because it's a hard name to say, even under the best of circumstances. But there was one episode where he instead of calling him Chesterton, called him Chatterfield or something. I can't remember what it was. And Barbara corrects him and says it's Chesterton. And the Doctor turns and says, "Oh, Ian, Barbara's calling to you."
I think that's the Romans.
Is it the Romans?
I think
the
so.
Aztecs.
One of those two. One of the.
I don't think it's the Romans, because it was at the beginning of the series or of the serial, and they were in the TARDIS still. And in the Romans, they don't start out there yet. But
then it might have been the Aztecs.
Might have been the Aztecs.
I remember it being one of the
memory.
historical ones.
Yeah.
Might have to
Yeah.
watch one of both of them again. Such
Oh,
so bad. So
sadness! I have to watch
Yes.
one of
Okay.
some of the best Doctor Who stuff.
Mhm.
But anyway,
Yeah.
but yes, so people going to Time Eddie. I am insanely jealous of you. Have a good time
Mm-hmm.
for yourselves and for me.
Yes.
I would love to meet. I'd love to meet both of them. And,
mhm.
yes.
Yep.
The first man of action.
Yes.
Yes.
Soon followed by Jamie Fraser.
Yes.
Oh, wait a
Jamie
minute, no.
McCrimmon.
Meg McCrimmon. Sorry, Outlander on the brain.
They're
Diana Gabaldon.
It's okay because
It's high.
influenced.
It's
Yes,
Where it came from.
she got her inspiration from Jamie McCrimmon's.
it's a reasonable mistake to make.
Yeah.
Mhm.
When fandoms collide.
Mm-hmm. In a good way.
Yep.
I had to laugh at I know I'm going on another tangent. I had to laugh at the guys traveling the vortex. Their British Fest feature when they had a question from the audience, Fraser Hines, and someone's like, "Have you heard of Outlander?" And I'm like, "He was in the freaking TV show."
Yes.
I was just sitting there going like, "Oh
Like,
dear."
did you skip that
maybe
episode
that
or
person
what?
hasn't gotten that far into season
Possibly.
1 of
That is-
Outlander.
That is possible. That is true. I was just I was laughing.
I was too. I was like, oh, sweetie.
But yeah, I have to
Go check your
remember, not
DVR.
everybody's as caught up as I am. So
Mhm.
it's okay. Anyway, continue on.
Yeah. So, Time Eddie 3. That's a exciting thing. So, and then closer to home for me. Actually, I meant to put this in here if we're going chronologically, at least for Indiana here. Coming up this coming weekend, as we're recording this, is In Conjunction, which I will be at all 3 days. I've got a table for the podcast, and I plan on being at the table most of the convention, with a few exceptions. But on Sunday, which is July 2nd, I think. I'm doing two panels. One is Color Your Fandom 2, which I say panel, it's more of just a block, an activity block. But I and the couple other people that are, I guess, in charge of the activity, we will have geeky fandom related coloring pages and coloring supplies, and essentially it's a time for people to get together and just kind of chill and do some fun coloring.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
Socialize and all that. I think that's at 11 a.m. on Sunday. And then at 1 p.m. on Sunday, I'm doing the Podcasting 101 panel. So just like I did the panel at HoosierCon, it's going to be very similar. I think I have someone that's going to be joining me, but I haven't made contact with them yet, so should probably get on that, see if I could figure out how to contact them. So yeah, those are the two panels that I'm part of at In Conjunction. Otherwise, I should be at the table most of the time with, I'll also have coloring pages there, so if you can't make it to the Color Your Fandom activity block, come over to the Five-ish Fangirls table and I will have coloring pages if you want to sit down and color with me, I guess, at the table and talk Doctor Who or whatever.
Fun.
Yes, and I will have, I've got stuff for the kiddos to play with and another couple other fun things, and I really need to start getting my stuff together to make sure I'm all ready to go for this weekend. So if you're attending In Conjunction, come see me and I will give you a fist bump or something. So there's that. And then PopCon, which is the following weekend. Oh my God, it's so close. Indie PopCon is the weekend after. And the schedule for that is completely posted on the Indie PopCon website. But I am joining up with the Indiana Cosplay Association. And once again, we are doing Heroes for the Homeless. So we are going to have a table somewhere. We don't know yet. They haven't given us our table location. We're hoping it's going to be similar to where it was last year, where it's outside of the vendor hall, out in the hallway. But it's a charity drive. So we've teamed up with Wheeler Mission, which is a homeless shelter here in downtown Indianapolis. Last year it was a clothing drive. This year we're asking for canned goods and toiletries to be donated to Wheeler Mission. So we'll have cosplayers there hanging out, offering to take selfies and photos of our cosplays if I get mine done. And we'll just be kind of hanging out, accepting your donations, and then we will take all that to Wheeler Mission once the convention is over. So I know last year they took like, I'm not sure exactly. It was a lot. I know the table was very full. They had like big like moving boxes, and they were full. The one time that I was able to walk by. So hopefully people will be as generous this year as they were last year. So that's that. And then last piece of convention news, Gen Con, which is almost July. So it's sooner than you think. And if you're thinking of going, you might want to get on it, because at the current selling pace, Gen Con is going to sell out for this year, and you will not be able to buy a badge day of. So if you're someone that's like, oh, I'll just buy it when I get there, or I'll just buy, I only want to go on Friday, so I'll just buy, I'll go on Friday and buy my badge there. Yeah, no, it's probably not going to happen. If you don't get your badge now, you're not going. So it's the 50th anniversary. They're going big or go home, and it's probably going to be nuts as far as the crowds. If it's anything like last year, it's probably worse than last year. It's going to be crazy. So if you want to be if you want to say you were there for Gen Con's 50th anniversary, you need to get on it. So there's your warning for that. So, convention season in Indianapolis is picking up. And I'm looking at my calendar going, holy crap. So that is it for convention news. So let's move on to non-convention related news, I guess. First up, Jurassic World. We got a nice little carrot dangling on a string on their Facebook page. 4 days ago. A nice little 1 year from now, so June 22nd, 2018. So a nice little poster, just a nice teaser poster with the the little coin thing. Kind of looks like the Power Ranger Morpher coin with the dinosaur on it. Yeah, Jurassic World, the full title. I guess, and we're not going to be calling it Jurassic World 2. And
now, did
I can't get the link to work to see if I can get the full article to pull up to see what else it says. No, that's not what I wanted.
Did I see correctly that Jeff Goldblum is also going to be taking part?
Yes, Jeff Goldblum is back.
Okay, so
I love how they put it on the poster. Like they even gave a little hint, because on the poster it says "Life Finds a Way."
Exactly. So, yes, because it's Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom is the full title, and the little kicker is Life Finds a Way. And I was like, I saw that, I'm like, oh yeah, Jeff Goldblum.
He's almost become a mainstay of this franchise. I mean, I don't think they meant it to happen. It's just he's the one that's available.
Yeah.
to be in the movies now. So it's like, okay, let's do this.
Yeah. Well,
so that's exciting.
He has an Easter egg in the first Jurassic World where he appears on the book cover on the dust jacket.
Yeah, I did see that.
Yeah.
And isn't the book called Life Finds a Way?
It might be, probably.
I'm trying to remember. It's been a while since I've seen the movie.
Yeah, me too.
I feel
it's a shame because I think we did it.
Yeah. So, but yeah.
I watch it a lot, but it's usually this background noise, so I'm not paying close attention to the details. I might have to do that.
Yeah. I've
Again.
only ever seen the first one. I haven't seen any of the in Jurassic World, obviously, but I've never seen any of the other Jurassic Parks. So may have to have a movie marathon before next June. So.
Oh, woe is us.
I know.
However will we
I know.
manage?
Oh, it's so
Hey,
awful.
Sean, we have Flicks for Friends ideas.
Here we go.
Yes.
We need dinosaurs.
Let's do this.
Yeah. All right. And then in oh my god, my wallet is crying.
Yes. Well, okay.
Kind of.
So,
although I didn't get the first one.
Well, okay,
it
because
sold
the
out
first
like
one
that.
they made like a handful of them,
Yeah.
and didn't really. It was so dumb. I have so many complaints about that.
My
but,
dad actually has one though. My brother bought one for our dad for Christmas last year. So I should go see if I can borrow it from my dad. I'm doing air quotes here. Borrow it.
Yes. Well, Jared and I were talking about this over Facebook earlier because he was saying we need to get it. We need to get it and get pre-ordered like the minute it goes on pre-order, and it's like, well, if they only make
2 of them.
Yeah, 2 of them. Yeah. It's like, anyway, so we're kind of dancing around this. I don't know why, but the announcement is that Nintendo announced that they are making a Super Nintendo Classic mini console with several very highly, very popular games
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
from back in the day. And I was like, as kind of like the classic NES that they did last year, and then discontinued promptly.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there going, because the SNES, that is the console of my childhood.
Mine
We
too.
had that one. Ours still works. I don't have it. My brother does. But the one that I grew up with, it still works. Whereas our family went through 3 or 4 Xboxes because they all broke.
Yep.
So I'm like,
red circle of death.
yeah, right. So I'm like, I adore, and I like the SNES is like, I love you, you're my precious. Like every other console.
Yep.
I can't. I'm like, nope. I don't care. I want my
Super
SNES.
Mario Kart, Donkey Kong Country,
Donkey Kong
the original
Country.
Star Wars trilogy.
Oh, I that was one I forgot about because I was going through like which ones did we have? I was talking to Jared because apparently they didn't have an SNES. But
The Legend of Zelda.
I don't remember if I had one or not. I think we did, but it doesn't. It's not standing out to me. Not like the first Nintendo did, like the one they released last year. I'm like, that's my childhood.
Yeah.
The original.
My
Nintendo.
grandparents have an SNES.
So I just wonder. I just wonder if
games?
if they keep doing this. How many consoles are they going to do?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like you got the Nintendo, the Super Nintendo, like the GameCube? I think
Possible.
may have been in there.
Well, no,
and then you start getting to the
Nintendo 64, and then it was the GameCube.
Okay, well, if the Nintendo 64 is next, if they decide to do that, I don't need it because I'm looking at mine. It still works.
Okay.
so
according to the article. Oh, and there's actually an update that I did not see when I first saw this. It says, Nintendo has now commented specifically on the subject of supply. It's not sharing the actual numbers, but it did say it will deliver significantly more units than it did with the NES Classic Edition. That said, it only plans to ship the system between September and the end of 2017. So there will be a limited run, but they are going to do more.
Well, that's
so I'm
good.
like, you better.
Yeah.
Anyway. I could go on a whole tirade.
Of significant.
Yeah. I was going to say about dudes, there are people willing to shell out money for this. Why are you making it so limited? I mean, come on. This is a cash cow for you. Gosh. Do you just hate money or something? Anyway, so the games that will be included on this. Let's see. Contra 3, the Alien Wars. I'm just going to go down the list here. Donkey Kong Country, the first one. Earthbound, Final Fantasy III, F-Zero, Kirby Superstar, Kirby's Dream Course, Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, Mega Man X, or 10. Sure.
Same difference.
Secret of Mana, Star Fox 2, which apparently Star Fox was never actually released. And here's the funny thing. Jared actually has a cartridge of Star Fox. We just don't have the console to go with it. So, I mean, you can't play cartridges on this anyway, but it's funny. Let's see, next one, Street Fighter 2 Turbo Hyper Fighting, Super Mario Kart, woo-hoo, Super Mario RPG, Legend of Seven Stars, Super Mario World, Super Metroid, Super Punch-Out, and Yoshi's Island. So, yeah, you can... So this is the one you can plug into your TV. It comes with all these games pre-installed, and it's just like...
Hopefully they make the cables for the controllers longer. I know there was a complaint with the first one. Yeah, with close because the controller cable was super short.
You could only go so far, yeah.
That is true. I do remember this very well, but it's exciting because I'm like, I want this, and I want to, because I have a Super Nintendo emulator on my computer with a ton of ROMs, and I have a controller. It's kind of a universal. It's not really a Super Nintendo controller, but it works. And I'm like, I just miss playing on the TV. I mean, I miss the TV. Mm-hmm. So
there's something about holding that controller.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
And tilting and
yes, and all of that, and it's the bigger screen. So I hope it's, well, first I hope it's a reasonable price, and second I hope that we get in and pre-order it, and there are enough.
Yeah. Well, but hopefully that they'll have add-ons. That you can download later for more games.
Yeah.
One would hope.
I know, because I'm just thinking of all the games we had, and I think of the games we had when I was growing up, compared to this list, I think there are 3 that were in common: Donkey Kong, Mario Kart, and Mario World. So I'm like, I'd love to, be able to play some other things too, but maybe they'll get there. I don't know. But that's exciting. I'm excited.
It says it's priced at $80.
Ooh, that's reasonable.
I was gonna say, if it's the game with 21 games,
that's
plus the console.
Exactly.
That's cheap.
That is a pretty good price,
considering how much a regular game goes for these days.
Right?
Yeah.
I was looking at because this is one game I know I'm getting. This month for my PlayStation. This is one of my all-time favorite kid games, and that one is $40, but it's 3 games, so that's also not that bad then.
No.
Yeah. Let's see. And I don't think that it's listed on Amazon or anywhere where you can pre-order it yet. So I did check earlier. I'm going to check now, but keep an eye on it. See if it's. And once it's up, get on that, because holy cow.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Go fast.
Amazon does still have the NES Classic Edition listed, but it's $230.
Ouch.
They have 1 left in stock.
Yeah.
As of what I'm looking at now, and I'm like, eesh. It's Nintendo, you could have made bank on those and priced them reasonably, and people would have loved you. Instead, you decide, no, we don't like money.
Oh, well, I just was on Amazon, and to get Star Fox game, that's $489.
Wow. That's a lot of money. Yeah. That'll be the Christmas the Christmas thing this year, among other things.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I'm gonna be, if Walmart sells it, I bet I'm gonna see tons of those.
Yeah.
Pre-order now to avoid disappointment.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to our next bit of movie news. And all sorts of drama going down over in Star Wars land. And I don't mean the literal land that they built.
Nothing really too clear, but
I don't mean the land like the one they're constructing at the amusement parks. I mean movie land. So apparently, Lucasfilm / Disney, whoever, was supposedly not happy with the directors of the yet to be titled Han Solo origin movie. So they got fired. And of course, you can't have a movie without a director. So they, I don't know if they had an idea of who they wanted before they did the firing, so that there wouldn't be that big of a lapse, or what. At the moment, they're not filming. They're not supposed to start filming again until the 10th of July. So, and I don't know if this hiatus is planned or if this is a side effect of the shakeup or not. But either way, Ron Howard is now directing the Han Solo origin movie. And I don't know why this strikes me as so funny, because Ron Howard, he's directed some pretty amazing films in his time.
Oh yes, yes.
But there's just something about little Opie Taylor directing something in the Star Wars movie. It probably comes from the fact that Chauncey,
or Richie Cunningham.
Yeah, well, for me, at the moment, he's little Opie just because Chauncey is binging the Andy Griffith Show for the 3rd time in a row.
Oh yeah.
So there's been a lot of little Ronnie Howard playing in the background in our house. So.
Well, I always remember him as the little lisping kid from The Music Man, because that's like one of my Winthrop. I was trying to remember his name. Yeah. Winthrop, and he's just a cute little redheaded kid, and I'm just like. And then I see his picture, showing up on these things like, oh, he's directing the Han Solo movie. I'm like, it's the same guy. But yes, he's quite the accomplished director in his own right.
Yes.
Happy Days, and then him acting in American Graffiti.
Yeah.
With Harrison Ford, which was directed by George Lucas.
Yeah.
So
it's serendipity.
Yeah.
This is not a bad choice by any means.
No, not. It's just, when you think of, science fiction, big blockbuster, sci-fi, fantasy type movies, Ron Howard is not the person as far as directors. You think of J.J. Abrams and George Lucas and
True.
all these people.
Although I will say this,
he can do epic.
Yeah, I will say this. I mean, because after we got out of Wonder Woman, and I was thinking, and and we were very impressed and loved it and everything, and I was like, Patty Jenkins, I was like, well, what has she directed before?
Yeah.
And we were coming back from the theater. Jared was looking it up on his phone, and it was a bunch of TV episodes. There was one big Oscar-winning movie that she made a few years ago, but other than that, there wasn't a whole lot that I'd heard of, me personally. And so I was just like, So it's like, yeah, you've got your J.J. Abrams, your Zack Snyders, your George Lucases, but then there's also all these other directors that well, let's give them a shot and see what they can do. Yeah. So I'm like, I mean, I'm a little concerned because they've obviously had a few problems with this movie. Yeah. And if I remember right, I think there were some issues with episode 7 early on before production started, or the very beginning of production. Yeah. And that movie turned out just fine.
Well, and they supposedly had issues with Rogue One too, that they had to do some last minute reshoots. So
so maybe this is just par for the course. I mean, Rogue One was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Just a side note, Ron Howard did direct Willow.
I was just about to say
okay.
And that is also a George Lucas production as well.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So I am not panicking yet.
Oh no. He definitely knows what he's doing. It's just it's definitely going to be an interesting addition to his resume.
Yeah.
So. Oh, for sure.
Yeah. For sure. And hopefully a very good one.
Yes. Yeah. So we'll see. Like I said, they're supposed to start production back up again on the 10th of July, and hopefully it'll be smooth sailing from here. So.
No Minox chewing on anything.
No Minox chewing. Something. So there's that. And then over on that other big mega universe that Disney owns, Marvel, the Inhumans series now has its TV premiere date. So it is going to debut on ABC on September 29th. So it's going to have its premiere first in IMAX, as they've announced previously. We've talked about previously, but then it'll be on the TVs, your television sets, at the end of September, essentially. So, yeah. And then they released a new poster. There's also a actual trailer. There was a short little teaser that they aired at the end of the season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but there's an actual trailer out there with actual footage from the TV show. At least yet. I've seen it shared. It's got a nice little watermark on it. So somebody leaked it or got it from somewhere. But it's yet to be officially released as far as I can tell. So hopefully that's coming soon. It may be something that gets released with more look. Maybe at San Diego Comic-Con / D23 Expo at this point. So, but yeah, I'm kind of excited. So we'll see. Yeah. And it's not gonna, from what I understand, it's not a full series. It's shorter, like Agent Carter. So it's even shorter than Agent Carter as far as the number of episodes. So it's going to be like a mini series. So if it doesn't work...
How did I miss that?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm reading and didn't realize an actor was in it.
Yeah. So it's going to be like a short mini series and be that kind of thing that will air on ABC until Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. comes back in January. So... Not that I'm bitter about that at all. So. All right, and the last bit of fandom news, again, in my wallet is crying. Big Finish. Those are two phrases that go together. We say quite often. My wallet is crying. In Big Finish news, Big Finish has announced a 4 audio, at this point it's 4 stories, audio series, in regards to, I don't think we mentioned this, but I guess this is on the heels of them announcing they're releasing a series of Big Finish audios related to the Time War with Paul McGann's Doctor. So... on the heels of that and everything that's going on with Doctor Who right now, I guess this is appropriate. They are releasing an audio series with the Master in the Time War, played by Derek Jacobi. So,
is it a series or is it an actual box set?
I think right now it's 4 stories. I guess it's a box set. So.
Usually that's how they do it. I was just looking it up because I'm like, do I have the money? Can I pre-order it? Probably not right now, but
it doesn't come out till December. It doesn't come out till December, so you've got time.
Well, yes, this is true.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's like where we've had the War Doctor, now it's the War Master, and they announced, they made the announcement on the the day of the 10th anniversary of when the Master came back in Series 3, which I'm sitting here going like, that was 10 years ago? Holy cow.
Yeah.
But that's getting Sir Derek Jacobi to come on to Big Finish, that's quite the coup.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I mean,
yeah. Well, it's like, they announced that it was the 10th anniversary of the Master's return to Doctor Who on TV, and it just so happens that in this past weekend that Derek Jacobi's next incarnation is now made a reappearance.
Yes. Which we knew about. We knew it was going to happen, but it was the way
it's just the timing of everything. So
yes,
it's like they planned it or something.
Yes.
Well, Big Finish has been putting out little sales every week of the Ice Warriors are back. Here's a story with the Ice Warriors or the Cybermen or different things. So it's sort of like, like Doctor Who's still on. Here's some stuff to tide you over during the week or whatever. So anyway. Yay, Big Finish.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for, finding ways to separate us from our money.
Yeah.
Which it's I'm happy to do so because, dude, you guys make some pretty great, amazing things.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still trying to catch up, and it's like, ugh.
And this is how, still, cause they've been going on for years,
yeah.
Long before the show even came back.
Oh yeah,
the Sirens of Time came out in 1999, and I'm sure they'll be doing a big 20th anniversary thing here in a couple of years for Big Finish, because boy does Big Finish know how to party.
But now,
yeah, save your pennies, people.
Yeah, start digging in those couch cushions. Yeah, so Big Finish. Exciting. Every time I'm like, I should really get back into listening to Big Finish, and then they go make these announcements, and I'm like,
but I haven't finished the ones that you did before. And
yeah, exactly.
Like I am so far
I'm still
behind.
Working through all the back catalog.
Yeah, it's like even with the plethora of ones that they added to Spotify. That you can listen to for free, essentially. It's like I'm still not caught up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I remember one time ago, Glenn from Traveling Vortex said, he wish, they could just stop for a year so he can catch up.
Yeah.
Then go on.
No, Nicholas Briggs needs something to do.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. This is what they've been doing while Doctor Who was off TV last year. This is what Nicholas Briggs has been doing. He's doing all this stuff. Among other things. Oh my. Oh, Big Finish. I hate you and I love you.
Yep.
Anyway. That's it for fandom related news. But we are getting towards the end of the month, and that means
we have the poll up for July's book for the Doctor Who Traveling the Vortex Book Club. So please head over and vote. Your choices are the latest Lethbridge Stewart novel, The Night of the Intelligence, then The Shining Man. Oh, just a second here. Let me pull up my post on Goodreads. Of course, it's going slow.
Of course it would, because you need it
now.
Like now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's 4 Doctor Who related books.
Yes. Okay.
Well,
and then the Plague of the Cybermen. There we go. Sorry.
Yep.
Okay.
That's okay.
And stats. We have 3 votes for Lethbridge Stewart, Night of the Intelligence, and 1 vote for the Plague of the Cybermen. So you have till the end of the month to vote. My apologies, it was earlier in the month. Got a little busy, and we're almost at the end of June. I better put this up.
You know, for all the talk of, Big Finish, shut up and take my money, and I'm so far behind. I think Candy Jar with the Lethbridge Stewart line, I'm kind of getting into that same boat where I'm like, I want all of these, and I have a lot of them. I think I have all of them either in ebook format or in our hard copy. But I'm just like, you keep putting them out, and I'm still like couple seasons. They do them in seasons. I'm 2 seasons behind still. I'm like, ah. Of course, didn't help that I inadvertently skipped one when I was reading before, and it was, which one was it? It was one that was just so good. Was it the Mutually Assured Domination? That's the one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It was like from the first batch, and I was like going back and looking at my Goodreads. I'm like, wait, I didn't read that one. Need to go fix that, which I did, and put up a review, and they're wonderful. So yes, highly recommended those, and the book club's a great way to stay on top of it. And
for those of you who are behind and are worried, please read the older books and comment. That's absolutely okay. Nothing wrong with that at all.
Oh yeah, we keep the
doors open.
Yeah, we when I started the thing, that was my thing. I was like, you know what, people are going to want to come back and reread some of these, or go see some stuff we've read before, and that's totally fine. So it's your book club, and you get to participate how you feel you want to, and it's a lot of fun. So go do it.
Yep. Excuse me. All right. So that's it for the housekeeping. So we shall move on. And at this point, before we get into this week's main subject, I'm going to put not a spoiler warning, because the statute of limitations is way run out on spoilers. But I'm going to, instead of a spoiler warning, I'm going to put if you have small children listening, you may want to stop this episode. This is we really
they're in bed.
Yeah, we as in general do try to keep this show as PG, maybe PG-13 as possible. But every now and then we do get into some subject matter that is maybe not appropriate for the little one's ears. We're not going to get any gratuitous or anything, with naughty words if we can help it, but it's subject matter that is not appropriate in this particular case. So if you've got a little one, you may want to go pick a different episode. Today's Harry Potter Day. Go listen to our Harry Potter episode or something.
Yes.
But today we're talking about
Game of Thrones.
Which it has a reputation that it has for a reason.
Yes.
It's on HBO, peeps.
Yes.
And rated mature on HBO.
Yes.
Yes.
It is.
And now we get the joke of Joss Whedon, George R. Martin, Stephen Moffat all walk into a bar.
Yeah. And everyone dies. Yeah.
Although I will say, because we did this same thing when we talked Outlander, however long ago that was.
Yep.
And I can watch Outlander just fine. Game of Thrones because of content and such. So while I kind of know the basic idea of the story, I haven't followed the show at all. This is Rachel and Brittany have been more following it. So it's gonna
we'll sit back and take the driver's seat.
We'll yield the floor to them.
Yeah.
As it were.
Yeah. So, Game of Thrones, it's, and we're really doing this because it comes back in like 3 weeks. And it's a topic that we've yet to talk about, and we're 6 seasons, almost 7 seasons in. The show's almost done. There's only going to be 8 seasons, so it was like, we either do this now or we wait until the entire series is done at this point. So that's our little disclaimer there. That
Actually, real quick,
yes.
No, the 6th season ended June 26th, 2016. So we're literally recording this a year after the season ended.
That is funny. That is really funny. Game of Thrones. Goodness. Kind of like Doctor Who, I only started watching it because I kept seeing people post about it on Facebook. Obviously there's the books. At this point, the show has surpassed the books, so I'm not even going to bother to try to read the books until one, the series is done, and preferably when George R. Martin is done writing the books.
Yes.
Just because, one, they're beyond the books, and two, they've stuff around and given storylines to different characters and eliminated stuff and added stuff. I would just get confused in my head of storylines. So I'm speaking only as someone who has watched the TV show, and I think Brittany is as well.
Yeah, I've started reading the first book, but like most of my things, that's still at my mom's house in New Mexico, so I haven't gone far.
Yeah. So.
I will say this. I read the first book was pretty good. It clocked along fairly well. Second was slow, and I gave up like halfway through the third one because it's just it's a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah, in the book. From what I gather, it's very Tolkien-esque, where there's just a lot of world building and a lot of here's all these people and here's their history and here's all these people and here's their history and here's all they interact with each other, and then occasionally they'll do something exciting like a battle.
And you know how involved it is when every single book at the end has an appendice with all the houses and all the family members listed.
Although I will say this. I will say this about because with Tolkien, it's like there's an air of hopefulness that there's going to be a happy ending at some point. Game of Thrones, no,
no, not really.
There is no positivity, and I don't know how other
coming, and that's it.
Everyone you love is going to die.
Yeah,
which is not my preferred tone when it comes to my epic fantasy. Like I read all 13 books of the Wheel of Time, and I loved all of them, even though sometimes it got a little slow. But it was that there's going to be a happy ending, we promise. With that one, Game of Thrones, no. Never. So anyway, I have no desire to read the rest of the series.
Yeah. That's the other thing too, is like I don't want to start reading the books and be like, yeah, I'll just stick with the TV show.
Maybe that's why it's so successful, because people are like, I don't even want to read it. I'll just watch it.
Yeah. That may be the case. So so yeah, I didn't start watching until last year actually. So I ended up binging like all 6 seasons last year.
Like I started actually it would have been about a year ago because I started right before my vacation.
Yeah.
Last year.
Yeah.
So I remember starting right before and then finishing it when I got back.
Yeah. I took the copies of the all the seasons with me when we went camping last year and binged like 2 seasons while we were camping because it ended up raining pretty much the entire time we were there. So yeah, it's not an easy show to watch. I will give it that. I kind of like to say that this is what you would get if Tolkien and Torchwood had a baby. Kind of. And was on HBO. So
considering I watched like half of the first episode, yeah, slightly,
yeah. It's not an easy show to watch. I will give it that. There's, even if violence and things like that don't bother you, there's just a lot of characters and a lot of world building to keep track of. For the most part, your main focus is 3 of the families. You have the Starks, the Lannisters, and the Targaryens. Those are the 3 families that you really need to be concerned about. There's a whole bunch of other fringe characters and other houses that come into play and are important at certain spots. But those are the 3 you really need to be concerned about. The Starks. That was the patriarch was Sean Bean. One of Sean Bean's many deaths. And this one came really quickly in the series too. From what I understand, when they announced the series, they're like, "We're adapting George R. R. Martin's Game of Thrones. It's going to be epic," and people were like so excited, and they were doing casting, and they're like, "Oh, Sean Bean, he's a big star and a recognizable name," and then they kill him like within the first half of the first season, and people go. That was kind of the first, no one is safe. Not even the big name stars in this show. So you have the Starks and their plethora of kids, including Jon Snow, who, as far as everyone knows, is the bastard son of Ned Stark. The story is that he went off and had an affair, and this child was the product of it. And that's why Jon's last name is Snow. Any, at least son in the Game of Thrones universe who's considered a bastard and isn't legitimized, they give him the last name Snow. So there's that. And then you've got a couple other sons, a couple other daughters. The Starks had a lot of kids. There's less of them now. Most of the Stark family is not alive anymore, but we'll get to that. You need a cheat sheet for this show, almost. Yeah. Actually, there is one. I'll put a link to it in the show notes. There's a website that's got a cheat sheet that recaps the first 6 seasons, and it's like hits all the high points. So here's who you need to know, what happened in each season, who died, major plot points, that sort of things. And then you have the Lannisters, who are the Lannisters are the family behind the throne of, I guess, King's Landing. At the outset of the first season is you've got King Robert Baratheon, who is married to Cersei Lannister, and then he ends up getting killed in a hunting accident, but it was actually something that Cersei arranged so that she could put her oldest son Joffrey on the throne and make him
hunting
king.
In air quotes.
Yes. So Cersei has 3 children that are not Robert's, not her husband's. They are actually the product of the lewd relationship between her and her twin brother Jaime. So there's that.
We said, not for kids.
Not for kids. And then you have the Targaryens. Which really Daenerys is the only one you need to be concerned about. Her brother ends up dying really early on.
He's a jerk. I read the first book, and when he goes bye-bye, I was cheering.
Not sad.
Yes. That's one of the few good. One of the few good deaths in the. If there is such a thing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye now.
Yeah.
Bye, that was. I will say this. I adored the love story between Daenerys and Khal Drogo, because I'm like, those two are so adorable, and then it's Jason Momoa and Emilia Clarke in the show, and I'm just like, oh, I love this, and then it ends in tears because we can't have nice things in this universe.
No, we can't.
Even though we shipped them very well, it went.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've got Daenerys, who really, with the death of her brother, makes her essentially the last Targaryen, at least as far as she thinks. But we'll get to that. And her dragons are her babies. She. When Khal Drogo dies, they give him they burn the body in a funeral pyre, and she had been given 3 petrified dragon eggs, because dragons used to be a very common thing in the lands of in the Game of Thrones universe, and they died off and became kind of this almost mystical thing, where it's like, oh yeah, supposedly they existed, but they haven't been seen for generations, so who knows if they actually really existed. And then Daenerys had these petrified eggs. So when they did the funeral pyre for Khal Drogo, she I think was intending to commit suicide, kind of, to be with her husband, because she lost her child. She was pregnant with a son, and ended up trading the life of her child for Khal Drogo, and that ended up backfiring, because even in Game of Thrones, magic comes with a price, dearie.
Yeah.
And instead of her burning to death in Khal Drogo's funeral pyre, she came out completely unburned, and it hatched the eggs, and now she's got these baby dragons, and they're not babies anymore, they're adults. But they're little baby dragons, like little Norbert in Harry Potter. It's just slightly bigger than Norbert when he first hatches. Yeah.
Yes. So now she is Daenerys, the mother of dragons, and
unburnt,
she's coming to reclaim her throne. Eventually.
Yeah,
Eventually. That's where she's headed right now. She is literally on a boat headed for King's Landing.
Yep.
With her dragons and her army and Tyrion. God love Tyrion.
Oh yes, need to talk about Tyrion.
We need to talk about Tyrion.
He's one of the few characters that is actually likable.
Yeah.
Yes, even though he can be a bit, how shall we put it? He does things to meet his own ends.
Oh yeah,
you feel for him.
Yes.
Well, when I say likable, in Game of Thrones, likable is a very low standard.
Yes.
Yes, the bar has been set very high.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's a Lannister.
That too.
Yeah. But he kind of takes he does try to use the Lannister name a few times where he thinks it'll have some weight, but at this point he's kind of like, yeah, my last name may be Lannister, but screw them. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So it's like my sister's nuts, my brother is whatever. Tyrion shot his father while he was sitting on the chamber pot, so
He should pull a Thor, because he said Loki was adopted.
Yeah.
Tyrion to say, I was adopted.
Yeah.
End story.
Yeah. Well, Cersei does not have a lot of love for her younger brother. She blames Tyrion for the death of their mother, which, like, he had any control over that. But the fact that he's a dwarf, she somehow thinks that may have had something to do with the death of their mother. Which it may have, who knows? But so Cersei doesn't have much love for Tyrion, but there's not a lot of love for Tyrion for Cersei either. And Jaime, at least by the time the last season ended, I think Jaime had finally figured out, oh, Cersei's kind of nuts. So he's finally starting to see the light, which is good. So, because Cersei's going a little mad as time goes on. Yeah. So, Cersei going into season 7 needs to watch out, because she's got Daenerys coming for her with her dragons, and Tyrion at Daenerys' side. Daenerys has made Tyrion Hand of the Queen, because Daenerys wants to come and claim her right to take the Iron Throne as a Targaryen, which she does have a claim. She has more of a claim than Cersei does. But at the same time, you've got Jaime, which is starting to figure out that Cersei's a little nutso and probably shouldn't be queen. And you've got Arya Stark, who is Cersei's very high on her hit list of people that she wants to kill for one reason or another. And you've got the White Walkers north of the Wall, which are not just a threat to Cersei, but actually a threat to the entire Seven Kingdoms. At this point, we talking about the memes, winter is coming, that was a thing going up to the next season where winter's not coming, winter is here. And winter means several things. One, it means winter, all the things that come with winter, cold and snow and ice, and crops can't grow, so they've got to make sure that they're stocked up on crops and everything, so when winter comes and you can't grow anything, you can't harvest anything, the people can be fed. But that also means the White Walkers, which are this entire race of zombies, I guess. I don't know if zombies are the correct description for the White Walkers. I mean, they were people who died and then get turned into a White Walker, so it's kind of zombie-ish, I guess.
Maybe. We never had a good explanation, so zombies the best we have.
Yeah, we're gonna call them zombies. They're snow and ice zombies, essentially, is what they are. And up to this point, they've been north of the Wall. There's, Westeros. You've got Westeros. You've got other parts, but you've got the Seven Kingdoms. And if you go to the far north of the Seven Kingdoms, there's this big wall that was built forever and ever and ever ago to help keep the White Walkers and all of those out of the rest of the Seven Kingdoms. But it's gotten to the point where, with winter coming and the lack of unity, I guess, among the Seven Kingdoms, the White Walkers have managed to build up their forces and are now coming south of the Wall, bringing winter with them. Although once you get to the Wall, it's all snow and everything anyway. But it's slowly traveling south. And they're very, very hard to defeat. At this point, traditional weapons don't work. Regular swords, bows and arrows, all that does not really stop the White Walkers. You need dragon glass, which is very, very rare, and Valyrian steel are really the only things that supposedly can kill a White Walker. Now, dragon fire might, but until Daenerys' dragons actually get to the White Walkers and do their thing, then we'll find out, I guess, if a dragon can destroy White Walkers. So Cersei is slowly being descended upon in King's Landing by several different forces that want to kick her out.
Now, can she see the writing on the wall, or is she kind of oblivious to this?
She was warned about Daenerys at least a couple of times, and no one truly believed that she had dragons. There were just stories that she had dragons, but Cersei was like, she's a child, whatever. At this point, Cersei's lost it. All of her children are dead, which was prophesied. When she was younger, and betrothed to Robert Baratheon, she encountered a witch, who told her her future and told her that she would marry the king and become queen. She would have, Robert would have several children. She would have 3. And it was essentially prophesied that all 3 of her children would die before her. So of course, she's always had that in the back of her head. And then Joffrey was the first to die, and I think really Joffrey was probably her favorite, because he was her oldest, so it was her firstborn. So Joffrey died again. One of those very very pleasurable deaths that everyone was so happy to see come along.
Yeah.
The thing with this show is the people that you want to die don't until way after they should have, and the people you want to keep alive die way sooner than you want them to. And Joffrey was one of them.
Because, I mean, he was a dirty, rotten little so-and-so in the first book.
Yes.
And he just got worse.
Yes.
From the sounds of things.
Yeah. And they tried to pin Joffrey's death on Tyrion. And even Tyrion was like, I didn't kill Joffrey. I wish I had. Because Tyrion was one of the...
Tyrion even told Joffrey, hey, you better shut up. There's people that are looking
to do you harm.
Take you out.
Tyrion was one of the few people that would not let Joffrey bully him around. He bullied him essentially right back. He put him in his place as his uncle.
One of the best parts of the whole show is like when Tyrion, it's like in episode 1, Tyrion reaches up and smacks Joffrey upside the head. Yes. I can't remember why, but it's like, does he need a reason? No.
Nope. Just because he can. So
it's like
more
reason of this, please,
yeah. Which right there and then you're like, oh, Tyrion, I like you.
Yep.
Slapping around Joffrey. So yeah, so Joffrey dies first, and then Cersei's daughter dies when she is returning from. I can't remember what the land is. It's with the sand snakes and the people. They live in the desert-ish area. I can't think of it. Say, I need a map. I need a map and a spreadsheet and all sorts of things. But anyway, so Cersei's daughter dies. She ends up getting poisoned. And then her youngest son ends up dying in the last season via suicide. He wasn't killed, unlike her previous children, but at this point, the previous season, in season 5, Cersei had been... she had brought back the church, essentially, well, the equivalent of the church in Game of Thrones, thinking that it would get rid of the Tyrells, and it ended up backfiring. So Cersei ends up having to essentially give penance, I guess, for her indiscretions. They tried to get her to confess that she had had an affair with her brother, and she would not. But they still found it that she needed to pay, I guess, for her sins and to atone for it. So they end up cutting off all of her hair and then making her walk naked through the entire city. And so that was one of the final nails in the coffin for a lot of people, and kind of one of the last straws that send Cersei over into Crazy Town. So she ends up killing the most of the faith militant, which is the church, including the High Sparrow. Marjorie, who was married to... Marjorie was married to Joffrey first. And then Joffrey died at their wedding reception. So they never consummated the marriage. But then she ends up marrying Joffrey's brother, Tommen. But she gets killed in the dragonfire explosion. There's this explosive that's bright green and highly, highly flammable. And she essentially has it lit while it's in its stores underneath the center of King's Landing, essentially, and kills a whole bunch of people. And Tommen actually witnesses it and jumps out a window. So that is really the push that sends Cersei into Crazy Town. And she declares herself queen, and they hold a impromptu coronation for her. And that's where we were at the end of season 6, is Cersei declaring herself queen of Westeros and the Seven Kingdoms, sitting on the Iron Throne. So she does not really have a claim to the crown. But no, everyone's too afraid to say anything, and they need a ruler. She's not the best choice, but they need a ruler. So why not be the mother of the 2 former kings and the widow of the king before that, I guess. Makes her the best choice. But really, as far as the Iron Throne, you have all these subsections. You've got Winterfell, you've got all these places that have rulers. Sometimes they're kings, sometimes they're just wards. But then you've got the Iron Throne. That's the big prize. That is what, because that is whoever's on the Iron Throne doesn't just rule King's Landing, but rules the entire 7 kingdoms. So in the hierarchy, that's top dog. But as far as who actually has a proper claim to the Iron Throne, that is up for debate on whose history you decide to follow. But as far as we know, a Targaryen, so Daenerys, would have claim. But as we found out, the worst kept secret, George R. R. Martin's worst kept secret, really, actually does have a claim to the Iron Throne as well. He just doesn't know it yet. Because as far as he knows, he's the bastard son of Ned Stark and some unknown woman. But in actuality, Ned was actually his uncle. And he is actually the product of Ned's sister and Daenerys's brother. Brother? No. Uncle.
Woo.
Something?
Yep.
It wasn't her father. It wasn't her father. It was her father's brother, right? So it'd be her uncle?
Let's see. I thought it was actually her older brother, because she had an older brother.
Yes, it's the younger brother that gets killed. Again, with the family trees, it's kind of confusing, trying to keep everyone...
Well, because there was a brother who was killed in the war, and, the Daenerys and... what's his bucket? Anyway, they were like, they revered him, and he was this great hero, and all this stuff, and anyway, but so it was the Stark sister and the Targaryen brother.
Yes.
Had
Yeah. It's very hard to keep these people in check.
Yeah. And the only reason I know this is because, social media spoiled it, and I'm just like, oh, so there's actually going to be some kind of resolution for this story finally. Yeah. All right then.
Yeah, pretty much.
And all these names are like... Ugh.
Yeah, because it's like everyone's got names, but then there's so many people that have like nicknames or other names they call them by. It's like Daenerys, she's Daenerys Targaryen. That's her given name at birth, but she's the mother of dragons. She's Khaleesi. She's a lot. She's got all these other names. So long. Yeah, so... people, they start calling people by names other than their given name. It's like, wait, who are you talking about? Because, like, Daenerys' father was king at one point, and then he went nuts, and he's known as the Mad King. And Robert Baratheon was actually the one who rebelled against Daenerys' father, and that's how he ended up becoming king. Which in theory, that may be one of the things that we get to see in one of the spin-offs that are supposedly going to happen is the Mad King and Robert's Rebellion and all that fun stuff. But yeah, so Jon Snow is actually a Stark legitimately and a Targaryen legitimately, kind of, because everyone thinks that that Jon Snow's real father, his biological father, kidnapped Ned's sister and forced her to become his bride, when in reality they were legitimately in love and wanted to be together. And she ends up dying in childbirth, giving birth to Jon that season. But the only person who knows Jon's true parentage is Bran, one of the other few Stark children who's still alive, who is paralyzed, and because he got pushed out of a window when he decided to climb up a tower and spy on Jaime and Cersei getting it on.
And he did not know this.
He did not.
He was just climbing up a tower. And
he was just climbing for the sake of climbing.
Misfortune to see that.
Yes, so Jaime pushed him out a window and thought it killed him, but he didn't. He ended up just paralyzing Bran. But Bran has since become I don't know what he is officially. He's the three-eyed raven, but he's some sort of like wizard or something, I think. I don't know. Where he has the ability to kind of mentally connect with animals. So he could, kind of mind. They call it warging. But warg into like a wolf or something and go and see what the animal is saying, but he also has the ability to warg back in time. And he witnesses the entire thing where young Ned, finds his sister as she is giving birth to Jon and dies. So based on that, Bran now knows kind of Jon's true parentage at this point. So that's kind of important. Unfortunately, Bran's warging also ends up creating probably the Game of Thrones has made me very, very mad. Mostly because of the people that they kill and then don't kill.
Yep.
Or wait too long to kill. But the Bran Hodor and the death of Hodor.
Oh.
Yeah. That is the only time I have cried watching this show.
So you can spot a Game of Thrones fan if you say hold the door.
Hold the door, and if they start crying. Yes.
Yeah, because one of the high school that I work at, I was walking down the hall, and a little piece of wood to hold the doorstop, and in red, Hodor, and I was oh, okay, too soon.
Yeah, even now, somebody says hold the door, I'm like, oh, Hodor.
Like, I wanted to know why Hodor says Hodor the entire time.
Yeah.
But not anymore.
And then you find out, and it's like,
I didn't really want to know. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. That's yeah. Oh, good old Hodor. Oh. But there's a chance that Hodor may come back. Maybe in flashbacks. That's the one nice thing, is that there's so much backstory that they need to give it put in still. that some people can come back in flashback form. There's speculation Hodor may come back as a White Walker. That would really hurt my heart, actually, because Hodor.
Yeah, that would.
He's such a gentle giant, and to see him turn into a mindless zombie killer would really break my heart, I think.
Which is probably what HBO is going to do.
Yeah. Probably. Yeah. Probably.
For that reason.
Yes. Probably. No. But yeah. Yeah. At this point, everyone is really actually early on. And split out all over the place, and really have not been able to come back together. Rob got killed in the Red Wedding. That was I remember
with
seeing
his wife.
Yes, with his pregnant wife. Yeah, like that. I remember seeing Facebook posts after that episode aired, and this is all the way back to season 4, I think, was the Red Wedding, 3 or 4, and I had no idea what people were talking about, but I just remember seeing so many mad people. Mm-hmm. Mostly because a lot of them, if they'd been reading the books, that was one of those things that they knew was coming, because it is in the books. Mm-hmm. So I had some idea as I was watching the series myself, and then when it gets to it, and just the bloodshed is just...
It's called the Red Wedding for a reason.
Exactly.
I knew, exactly. I knew of the Red Wedding, and I knew it meant death, and I was hearing, when I wasn't sure when it happened, so I kept hearing wedding, oh God, is this the wedding? Is someone's gonna die? Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That one was...
Yeah. So, and it's one of those where there's that whole bit with the Lannisters sending their regards right before Rob gets killed. But really the Lannisters had nothing to do with the Red Wedding. Mm-hmm. That was Walder Frey, actually. And he was one of those that it's he did something awful, like Joffrey, and then kept on living for 2 more seasons. Mm-hmm. Why are you still alive? Yeah, it's how are you still alive, and why is Hodor dead? It's one of those, it's not fair. Thankfully he got his.
What did Hodor do?
Yeah. It's Hodor, yeah, Hodor was just trying to protect Bran, but yeah, Walder Frey not so much, although he did get his thanks to Arya at the end of last season, which is good.
Yes.
So we don't have to worry about him anymore, which is good. And then but the Stark children are still separated, although Sansa is back with Jon back at Winterfell, which is the Stark family home, which is good.
Yes.
Although how their relationship will be going forward is yet to be determined because of certain person. Littlefinger. Little worm that he is. Oh, such a manipulator. Oh my goodness. He wheels and deals, and it's all in the shadows. And
is he also the spidery guy, or is that somebody else? From the first book?
I don't know, because I haven't read
the one that was all around. That might be the same guy, I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, he's creepy on so many levels, but he's so slick about it is the thing. He's just, doing his thing and, manipulating Sansa and whether because she's been through some crap. She was supposed to be the one to marry Joffrey all the way back in season 1 and managed to get out of it. She dodged a bullet there and actually ended up marrying Tyrion, which was not either of their choices. But they never consummated the marriage, so it didn't really count, actually. But then she ended up getting married off to Ramsay Bolton, which, oh my god.
No.
Yeah. You want to talk about a death?
I cheered more at that death than Jeffrey's.
Of the people, of the people that really needed to die on this show. Joffrey, Walder Frey, and Ramsay Bolton were the three that, like, why are you still alive to torment all these people that I like? So, Joffrey, yay. Purple Wedding, fabulous. Poison, bye-bye. See ya.
Yep. Sorry, I was getting Littlefinger confused with Lord Varys.
Yeah, no. No, Varys is...
he's called the Spider.
Yeah, Varys is also very wheeling and dealing, and it's hard to tell.
Kind of creepy too.
Yeah,
from what I remember of the book.
Yeah, Littlefinger really. There's no, as much as he wheels and deals, you always know whose side he's on, and that's his.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
He's always going to do something that benefits him and his end game, and his end game is to become king. He wants to be on the Iron Throne. He used to have the hots for Sansa's mother, which is creepy enough in itself. And since Caitlyn's gone and Sansa's growing up, now he's putting the moves on her instead, which is creepy in itself.
Ew. Of course. It's like, but, morality in this world is not...
Yeah. So,
yeah.
Very hard.
Pretty much. Walder Frey, he was just, being the person really behind the Red Wedding. Obviously, big check mark in the I don't like you, you suck column. And finally he got his, which is good, thanks to Arya. And then Ramsay Bolton, I don't even know where to start with Ramsay Bolton. I'm going to be really interested to see how Ewan does in Marvel's Inhumans. If I can separate
that
the
was
two.
Actually when I was reacting to, I forgot that he was
because he
was going to be in that.
Yeah, so it's like if his character is any similar to Ramsay, I'm gonna struggle probably. So
hopefully not.
Hopefully they're very different, so I can kind of mentally separate the two. But Ramsay was a bastard as well. But because his father didn't have any other children, he was able to keep the name Bolton because he was the only potential heir that his father had. And he does all sorts of despicable things to other people. But really Sansa gets the worst of it, and no thanks to Littlefinger, actually, because the thing is Littlefinger ends up arranging the marriage between her and Ramsay, I think.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, because marriage is like the most strong contract thing you can do as far as alliances between the houses. Marry someone from one house to someone else in another house, boom. Automatic alliance. We share money, we share resources, we share armies, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Littlefinger that arranges the marriage between Sansa and Ramsay Bolton. And that marriage does get consummated, but not in a good way whatsoever. And it's an unfortunate thing. And I know a lot of people have been up in arms, not just with Game of Thrones, but a lot of shows using rape as a plot device. And it's a horrible thing. Rape in general. It's a horrible, horrible thing that happens to real people in real life. And honestly, I don't know really how I feel about it as a plot device. Sex is, in general, is one of those things that is used heavily in Game of Thrones. There's a lot of T and a lot of A. Most of it female. 99% of it is female. And obviously that caters to a certain set of people that are watching it just for the boobs, as they say in the Honest Trailers version of boobs. But I kind of look at it as it's also a product of the time period that it's set in, where it's very misogynistic, where the men it's men pretty much are the ones that hold all the cards and all the power, and using women is a power play, is what it is. Whether it's forcing someone to marry someone they don't really want to marry, whether it's just the brothels. It's a card that in this universe, because of I don't know what time period it technically is compared to actual history, but women don't have a lot of rights in this universe.
I mean, I've seen a lot of articles and people opining about this, and I remember when people were really up in arms about that scene.
Yeah.
And this was my take on it, because that was about the time I was I was writing about the news and pop culture and different things for my day job, and I remember just how many people were just so upset about it, and I was just kind of like, just in my mindset, I'm like, okay, Game of Thrones, the world that it is set up in is there is no morality. There is, you get as much power as you possibly can get. All the good characters, like Ned Stark, is like probably the closest thing that you have to an honorable person in this universe, and he dies, like you said, partway through the first season. And like there is like this entire world is what happens when you have a society that is based on selfishness, greed, and just no thought for other people, that you just care about yourself and no one else. And so
you don't care who you step on to get there. Yep.
Yeah, I don't care who you step on to get there. And so when I heard that whole when I heard about the scene with Sansa and Ramsay, I was just kind of like, quite honestly, I was like, you're watching the show. How is this surprising to you?
Yeah.
Quite honestly.
Yeah.
Why? And I say this as someone who quit watching the show because of all of that. There are no good characters to root for in the books or anything. I mean, yeah, we say, oh, Tyrion, he's snarky, he slaps around Joffrey. He's not a good person. I mean, Daenerys, I guess she's kind of a victim of her circumstances, and she manages to rise above it, but she really hasn't done much other than she has her dragons and she's collecting an army. And Sansa, you want her to, her big thing was like, she had this in her mind of, I'm gonna marry Prince Joffrey, and my father is this kind and honorable man, and he's going to arrange this for me, and I'm gonna live a fairy tale life. No, not at all. And it's just, and all the any character that could conceivably be considered good, moral, upstanding dies. And all the, like you said, Walder Frey, he keeps going on for 2 more seasons, and it's just like, I'm like, okay, I understand that reality sucks, like the real world is just terrible and people do awful things to each other. For my part, and this is why I just never clicked with Game of Thrones, like, when I choose to read fiction or watch a fictional TV show, I don't want to be reminded how terrible people can be to each other. Mostly because I write about that every day in the news, and I see it, and I hate it. I hate it. Just I don't want to get on a tirade. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. I wasn't going to
say much,
with this show is it's very polarizing.
This is why I can't stand this. Yeah. This book series.
It's very polarizing for some people.
Yeah,
though.
And it's just very. I hate it. I hate it, and I will not.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's intriguing. I like the story. I like the idea of this. Daenerys, especially. She's got these dragons, and she's going to come in and kick everyone's butt, and be the queen. Or even, the story I finally read, Jon Snow's parents. I mean, there's an element of romance to that, but even that is like, ew. And then they both die and leave this young boy to think that he's a no good. He's the lowest of the low, even though his parents were high nobility, and he should have a place. He should have a place. In this political world, I guess. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, why? I'm like, I don't know. Maybe it's just, like you say, it's the TNA is what brings everybody to it. I don't get it, quite honestly. And I didn't understand why people were so upset about. I mean, okay, I get why people were so upset about that scene. I don't get why they were shocked that it happened.
Yeah.
That's my confusion, I guess. It's like, you've been watching the show from the start. There's incest. Come on.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah. No, I totally get that. And if that's your reasoning behind not wanting to watch it, that I totally get that. I find it quite fascinating, not just with, what happens, with women and the things that happen to women, because there are some strong female characters. Like Arya is awesome. So is Brienne. Brienne of Tarth is an amazing female character in this show. So there are some good people and some good, strong females, and I think Sansa, hopefully, if Littlefinger doesn't get his claws completely into her, that she's slowly turning into a very strong young woman. It's just her experiences may darken her too much and send her down a path where you're like, no, Sansa, don't go that way. Come back over here and be awesome with your sister, type of thing. That's yet to be seen. But I find the whole thing fascinating, kind of as obviously this is fiction. Obviously, there's dragons, there's magic, there's people being resurrected from the dead, all sorts of things. But I do find it to be an interesting, I guess, I don't know if the right word is commentary or maybe metaphor. I don't know what the right word I'm looking for is for social dynamics and class dynamics and politics and economics, actually. And how the world in this world functions as people interact with each other, whether they're romantic relationships, whether business dealings, whether it's, politics, whatever. I do find it a very interesting commentary on those types of interactions between people. And that's why, I guess I don't find it nearly as shocking and as appalling, and I don't get as, I guess, disgusted as some people do. I don't want to say that, don't anyone think that maybe, I'm like desensitized to it, because I do feel for the characters.
I've heard people, I've heard people say who love the show are like, I like the social commentary and things, and I'm like, great.
Yeah.
I mean, you're exactly what you're describing is kind of is what I've seen a lot of people praise it for, and yeah, that definitely has a place, and I'm glad that you can see that, and that you're. What am I trying to say? I don't fault you for this.
Yeah.
I don't want you to think I'm saying like, how dare you think blah blah blah, just because I like my sunshine and rainbows,
Yeah,
and happy endings in my shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't why I was going on a tirade. I was just like remembering that.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is definitely a place for that. I get that totally.
Yeah.
It's just not my cup of tea.
Yeah. And that's totally
But it's
fair.
yours, and that's awesome.
Yeah. And there's dragons.
Dragons, yes.
Yes, and some of the costumes are really cool, and I want to cosplay so many of them. It's disgusting. So yeah. Anyway, where was I before we got on that tangent?
Sorry, I derailed.
Ramsay Bolton, that's where we were. Ramsay Bolton, the other person that needed to die and finally
To be fair, I could have gone without talking to him too much.
Yes. Well, and thankfully he did get his. In this case, she got her revenge. So, which is always a good thing. So, and he got his butt sorely beaten on the battlefield by Jon Snow. So he'd already been beaten in the field of battle and had his reputation essentially, knocked down several pegs there.
Well, because
to the injury, huh?
Yeah.
Like it really looked like Jon was going to kill him, but he stopped.
Yes.
And looked at Sansa and realized that no, Sansa should be the one
to kill him. Yep.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Which I feel weird saying, but I thought that was pretty nice.
Yeah.
But
not condoning violence, but it's always good when the bad guy gets what's coming to them.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, Game of Thrones, it's big, it's complicated, there's so many characters, there's so many locations, thankfully, for the most part, it's all in English, unlike Tolkien, where Tolkien came up with like 500 different languages. There's really, everyone speaks English, aka the common tongue, and then the Dothraki language, and then the Valyrian, the High Valyrian. So they don't deviate from English too much, which is good. So it makes it a little easier to follow, unlike Tolkien, where they'll go off into Elvish and Dwarvish and whatever, and Black speak, and yeah. Very confusing sometimes with all the different languages. Pretty much everyone's got a British accent. So yeah, you got that going for you too. So yeah, there's 6 seasons. It's a lot of TV. I will give you that. Especially
and they're long episodes.
And they're long episodes.
Like most of them are about an hour.
Yes.
And this is without commercials because HBO doesn't have commercials.
Exactly. Pretty much. Pretty much. Oh, and the next...
Yeah.
There's only 2 seasons left. And season 7 and season 8 will actually be shorter as far as the number of episodes. But the episodes themselves will be longer. So they're going to be an hour plus. So the total number of broadcast hours may still be shorter than the 6 seasons we've already had. Yeah, it's not a show you can easily binge watch. It can be done. I know because I did it.
Me too.
I watched 6 seasons in about I think I started the first season and then got distracted by something else, and then went back and then proceeded to binge essentially 5.5 seasons in 2-3 months, I think. So being cooped up in a cabin for a long weekend while it's raining outside helped.
I can't remember when I started in like early July.
Yeah, you started after me, and I actually think you finished before I did.
I think I did.
Just barely. But you did finish. I think I finished before you, but just barely. Like one of us would get ahead of the other.
No, because I think I finished before you because like you saw like the season finale of season 6 before you saw some of the other episodes.
Yeah,
wasn't that right?
I don't know. It's been almost a year since I did my binge, so I've slept since then. I've had wisdom teeth removed since then, and therefore drugs. So I'm gonna blame it on that.
No, Rachel. I liked how you said. It's not an easy show to binge watch, but it's possible because I did it.
Yes.
I think
I don't know.
Yeah.
Say that.
It is if you don't want to pay for HBO, like if you don't have cable at all, you can do the HBO account, HBO Go, where you can pay just for the online access to HBO. Because I know that's how Brittany's been doing it.
Technically. I'm technically using my mom's account, but whatever. Yeah.
She doesn't care. We won't tell HBO.
That's actually the reason.
You didn't hear that, HBO.
You have to have my account so you can see HBO, so you can watch Game of Thrones. Like, okay.
Yeah. Not that I'm condoning piracy, but Game of Thrones does have the title of most pirated TV show ever for a reason. So if you want to go that route, you can if you know where to go. I'm not condoning that. Just saying. It's out there. Or you could just go buy the dang DVDs, I guess, if you wanted to. You could do that too. Or go read the books, but then you wouldn't be on pace with the shows at all because like I said,
now they're basically doing their own thing. Yeah. Or you can go get it from your local library.
Or that too. Go see if you can get it from your local library. So there you have options. Some more legal than others, but you do have options.
We definitely recommend the legal.
Yes, we always recommend the legal.
Yep.
So, there's that. Yep. So, Game of Thrones. Yeah. Big, epic.
So something I wanted to mention, like
Dragons.
Some little tiny thing.
Go for it.
I love the opening. Like how...
Oh, yeah.
In the match, like, it changes...
It changes every season as they go to visit new places, or if a house dies, like
you could
they disappear.
When I really noticed it when Winterfell basically fell, and you can see it burning and all of that. That was like the first time I actually really like, hey, they changed it.
Yeah, and the theme song is awesome.
Yes, it is.
It's a very, very epic theme song. It is my ringtone on my phone.
Nice.
It's very cool. No.
That's the one, like, I go on YouTube a lot and I search for, like, remixes, and there's some amazing Game of Thrones themed remixes.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of musical artists on YouTube that have done their own take on it, and it's pretty awesome. And and if you haven't seen it, go watch Weird Al's rendition of it from like the Emmy Awards or something a couple of years ago. He did a whole set where he took theme songs from current TV shows like Mad Men and Modern Family, and put lyrics to it because they're all theme songs that don't have lyrics, and did lyrics that kind of describe the show. And Game of Thrones.
Now I need to go find that.
Game of Thrones Game of Thrones was one of them, and involved him singing to George R. Martin and gifting him with a typewriter. So.
Oh, okay. I can vaguely remember that, so he would keep writing. Because I think at that time he kind of admitted that he had writer's block.
Yeah.
If memory serves.
Yeah, and it's been like like 6 years since the last book came out.
Yeah.
And people are all like, well, yeah, you don't necessarily owe us a book, but we also don't owe you money for not writing a book. So, dude, what's up?
Yeah. He's working on it. He's just, at this point, they're beyond where he is. So he does consult. And he's actually said that some of the things that they've done in the show, he's actually going to incorporate in the next book.
Okay.
Because he liked what they did better than what he was planning.
Nice. Oh, scary.
So, once the book series is done, it'll be interesting to read and see at that point, like, to see what it is he decided to pull from the TV show and use.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, he's in no hurry. So he's getting money off of the show and the books that are out, and occasionally he releases like a short story. So you've
or a short story anthology.
Yep. So it's not that he's not working on it. He's not in a huge hurry. So. Yep.
All right.
Yep. Game of Thrones.
Well, in that case, anything else? Anything else anyone wants to?
Nope.
Say. All right.
I know nothing, Jon Snow.
Well, I have no witty rejoinder for that, so I'm just gonna go into the promotional part, I guess, of the podcast, where we say, if you, dear listener, want to chime in about our Game of Thrones discussion or anything else we've talked about in the past, or just want to share some cool geeky thing that you've seen and want to bring it to our attention, you can do so by sending us feedback. And our email address is fiveishfangirls@gmail.com. And we read all the feedback out that we get. You can also leave comments on our social media pages. Facebook and Twitter and Instagram are kind of our main ones that people leave for us. And you can find links to those at our website, which is the fiveishfangirls.com. And yeah, and there's tons of stuff at our website you can see, including our show notes. So all the links from our news items and such you can find there, and also, like I said, social media, and also find us on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, links on our website to all these things. And we also have a YouTube channel, and we have a Patreon account, which if you are supporting us there, again, we thank you for that. And, virtual high fives for everybody, because we love you guys. And if you want to support us through Patreon, you can do so at our website as well. And we also have an Amazon store where anything you buy from Amazon after you go to our link from our website, that goes right back into the podcast. And so you get your regular Amazon shopping done, and you get to help us out. And everybody wins. So it's pretty awesome. So, yeah, and we're just glad that y'all are listening, and hope you are still enjoying what we're doing here.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Awesome sauce.
And remember to vote in the Goodreads Book Club poll for July, because need to know what we're going to be reading next month.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to tease something might be coming back next month.
Yay! I think I
Watch this space, especially our Facebook page, because that's where we break a lot of interesting news. Well, I don't know if we break the news, but we comment about it and share it with you. So there we go.
Yay! Excuse me. A little frog in my throat there for a second. Pardon me. All right. So with that, I guess we shall sign off for this week.
This is Brittany in Bethlehem saying goodnight.
This is Chrissy saying goodnight from Salt Lake City.
This is Hyde from Wisconsin saying good evening.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. It's what I do. I drink and I know things.
I love that quote.
Was that a Tyrion quote?
That is a Tyrion quote.
Indeed.
You have been listening to the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. Any and all movies, books, games, and other forms of media mentioned are owned and operated by the respective copyright holders. No copyright infringement is intended or implied.